the luxury is get me out of my daily routine.
Yeah, I just opened it, but there's no key in it.
All right, can you text me back when you get a hold of him? The site manager is going to bring you a key. So you should be here soon. Sorry about this.
It's okay.
We'll make it up to you somehow. You bet. And if he should show up, but if he doesn't, I'm there.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
The fire is just center of the experience for us. We make it easy. If you've never started a fire before, I say that now. We'll see how this goes. Because I grew up making campfires, it didn't occur to me when we started the company that we'd have to, explain it. And we set up all the houses with emergency phones, but we'd get all these calls at the beginning of the company and we'd say, how can we help you? And they'd say, everything's great, we really love it. Can you please send someone over to teach us how to start a campfire? And so now we have detailed instructions on how to create a campfire in all the houses. This is old, right? Making a campfire. It's one of the things about the company, but we really try not to pretend we're disrupting anything. We're trying to make a very old thing new again, or more accessible to a few more people. We don't pretend to be disrupting nature, disrupting hospitality, disrupting taking a break. We hope we're making some of those things easier for some people, but this is really quite an old thing we're doing, which is trying to get people to have a campfire in nature. It's funny because cabins are hundreds of years old, but also having a resurgence. When we started this, we genuinely didn't think we were part of a trend. This was us saying, my buddy Pete and I saying, we've tried creating companies that are cool or trendy or meant to make a lot of money, and we failed at that. Let's start something that we want. And I guess that just happened to be at a moment when other people were also looking for simpler living, simpler time off, getting away from work. And I think the cabin is this vessel that just stands for simplicity and disconnection and, dare I say, is a bit nostalgic. It reminds us of a time, even if we didn't live through it, where we didn't have to respond to everything within an hour, let alone 24 hours. When we didn't have to do conference calls on our vacations. I'm not a Luddite, I don't want to go backwards, but I still think that's worth hanging on to once in a while. Right? Just because we're not going to undo the internet, nor should we undo the internet, doesn't mean we should not try to have balance from its implications. But this is why we are loath to think of ourselves as anything like a hotel. Because a hotel's agnostic as to what you do. You pay them money, you drop your bags, you do whatever you want. You can watch TV, you can go to a dinner down the block. We care a lot about what you do at Getaway. We're thinking about, well, what happens after you leave this place? And so we give you an envelope, open this after you get home, which I won't spoil the surprise. We think this can be a special time and place for you to get away from all those things that bother us in our daily lives. Things that we love. We don't want to, I love my job, but I'm better at it when I'm away from it. I live in the city, but the city's better if I get out of the city once in a while. I use a lot of technology, but if I'm connected all the time, I start feeling crappy. There's this scientific concept called the soft fascination of nature, which sounds too fluffy to be true, but it's an actual, scientists study it, and it's about why do leaves capture our attention, why do flickering flames in a fire pit capture our attention. Unlike paint drying. It's just enough stimulation that it keeps our mind focused so we don't get bored, but not so much stimulation that we get overwhelmed or anxious. It is surprising to me even that there's all this science that shows nature's so good for you, like it's factual. But yet we all kind of know it, don't we? From walking in the park, from those of us who are fortunate to grow up in a place with a lot of nature, we know that it makes us feel better. And science has validated that. My philosophy is that there's a great imbalance brought by the digital age. It feels like a worn out topic a little bit because we all sort of know that we don't have balance in our lives, but we have to remember that the internet's like 25 years old in most of our lives anyway. And we are just starting to see implications it has on our life. I've lived through, like, oh my goodness, I get an iPhone, and I thought it was the best thing in the world. And, you know, I could, like, cook dinner and keep up with work emails. And then I lived through, you know, a couple years later, I'm going, oh my God, I can't cook dinner without checking work emails. And I think that's where society is, so the cabin is one way to balance that. At least that's what we're trying to do, but I think generally the cabin was a place where you didn't work, you obviously didn't have city noise, you didn't have pollution, you didn't have technology, you know, fighting for everybody's attention. In fact, like the knock on the cabin, at least a couple of decades ago, was life is too slow. You're going to stop here and listen to the screen door slam. Not to be too cliche, but like that sounds pretty nice. I mean, time is the luxury. I think like money, I think we are quickly concluding societally that money is not the luxury, time is the luxury. We are actually trying to regain the idea of boredom. And like what a radical idea that is. It's like, wouldn't it be great to be bored? And what happens when you push through that? Like, boredom isn't that pleasant of an experience. Like slowing down is pleasant, relaxing is pleasant. Boredom's kind of unpleasant. I don't know what to do with myself. But there's research that shows if you push through that, magical things happen. You have new ideas, you're more creative. You have new thoughts about yourself that are important. And that's why we're quite bizarre in saying like, not only should you not work or not do your email, like you shouldn't go skiing, you shouldn't go kayaking, you shouldn't go swimming, you shouldn't go to a beautiful farm-to-table restaurant. Like, I like all of those things, and I do them. But shouldn't we have a place or two, or a time or two, where we don't do any of those things?